Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode of The Roving Router. Now, the name is obviously still in progress, so please comment below if you have anything better. But today, we are down at Sandown with the lovely Caufield Carnegie Cycling Club. They are down here most Tuesdays in summer. I think this might have been the second last one. It was a lovely day. It wasn't too hot. Maybe, under 20 degrees. Bit of wind. As you can see in that map, I've added in some arrows, which the direction the wind was coming from that day. So, made racing a little bit interesting. It was a nice field of maybe 20 to 30 riders, which was fantastic to get that amount of people down here. So let's get stuck into some racing and see how we go. Alright, so today we've just rounded the last corner as we now ride onto the front straight. I'm joined here today with 3 teammates, which is absolutely fantastic, but there was no real game plan today. We're all just here to have a bit of fun and have some burgers in the afternoon. So we've got Chiggers on the front here, number 4. Menzies, who was commentating last week, just on my right hip. And you can see in the background, OJ is also with us today. So the course at Sandown is relatively flat. There is a small hill, punchy hill on the back straight. And I've put a little bit of a map from Strava up on here, so to give you a bit of a sense of what the course looks like. This is B grade, so the pace is always going to be quite quick, and everyone's quite competent on the bike, and everyone has really good fitness. So getting away in attacks can be quite hard. However, that doesn't stop people. As you can see, a couple of guys have launched an attack off the front that gets nullified. So as that gets brought back, Menzies with fresh legs shoots off the front, but does that get shut down? I'm assuming because everyone's got fresh legs. Yes, no one wants a bar of that, so they shut that down quite quickly. So, let's get stuck into some racing and see how we get on today. So not too long after Menzies was brought back, we've only cut in a couple of seconds, to be honest, I think to have a crack. Now, why did I do this? I was coming in with a bit of speed and thought, why not? The legs felt okay. So had a bit of a crack here, and already got a bit of a gap with the group. So as I ran this corner, I looked behind and realized I've got a bit of a distance. So I'm going to settle into my FTP, although I am a little bit excited. So FTP plus 10% is what it ends up being. And as the gap grows, I'm pretty happy with that. But I also realize that there is still plenty of time left in this race, so I don't want to overcommit to this. I'm more just testing the legs and testing the group out to see if anyone is interested to come across. So let's see how that turns out. So a quarter of a lap later, I'm joined by this handsome gentleman in the O'Meara kit as he taps me on the way past and says, hey, let's make something of this. So we sit in together and ride this one out. So I guess the important thing to note here is when you are joining someone in a break, it's really important that you are matching their speed as you come past. So let's just say if I was coming, if I was doing 40 Ks, if the other person comes blazing past me where I can't catch on to a draft, it does make it hard to sit in and I have to spike up my watts, which wastes energy. So it's really important to keep it nice and smooth when you're joining someone in the break. So we roll a few turns here, and the group doesn't look like they're too interested at the moment. So let's see how this one pans out. So with only 2 of us off the front, it doesn't take long for the group to catch up. So we sit up, stop pedaling, wait for the heart rate to settle down as the rest of the peloton comes across. So as this happens, as the chase happens, the great thing about teammates is once one gets caught, another one can shoot off the front. So you saw OJ just boost off the front there. He tries to get a bit of a gap, and it allows me and the rest of the other routers to sit in, get your breath back, and get the rest of the peloton to chase. So OJ's attack got brought back, and I found myself at the front of the bike race here. And when the pace is low at around 33, 32 kilometers an hour, you always get a little bit nervous because you're expecting a group of people to attack over you. And when you're at the front of the race, you don't really have time to react. So you've really got to spike those watts up so you don't end up dropping a wheel and losing the brake. So I've had to put in a bit of effort here to stay on the wheel, because any sort of attack like this could be the one breakaway that gets away. But once again, it didn't. Only 4 laps into a 13-lap bike race, everyone is still pretty fresh, and it doesn't take long for everyone to snap back on and join back. But it does. Everyone has had to work. As you can see now, the group is really strung out as we round the corner. So not much. Another attack that, nothing really happened there, but it does stretch the legs for everyone's, and it does make everyone a little bit more tired. So you want to wear everyone down so the sprinters aren't at their full capacity at the end of the race. So we're 5 laps down now, and this is just a really interesting part of the course where you can actually gain a lot of places quite easily, because it's a downwind and downhill. With a slight dab of the pedals, you can make up 10-15 places quite easily and put yourself at the front of the race, which is going to help your positioning coming into these next few technical corners here. So you can see Menzies is on my right hip here sitting in, and the pace is relatively low as we get to this corner now, coming down to 36, 35, 34, 33 kilometers an hour. You can see 2 guys off the front. So whilst the pace is low, this is a great time to, launch a bit of attack and maybe try to bridge across to these 2 other riders up the front. As good minds think alike, you can see the 3 other riders have thought exactly the same thing. So I'm so lucky to be able to sit in, get dragged all the way back to the front, not having to do much work. The peloton don't want all these riders to get away, so they have to put in a big effort to chase, and I just had to sit in. Good result. So we're just about halfway through the race now, been riding 23 kilometers, and do you know what that means? I think it's time to launch another attack. So I'm sitting in 5th as one of the boys launches, and once again I'm able to get another easy sit in from number 14. It's almost a little bit like a carbon copy from a few laps prior. So when it's in this part of the course, you got that tailwind. You don't really have to do too much work in order to be dragged back to the front of the race, and it allows the group to be stretched out, and you don't have to do too much work. But unfortunately, I'm going to spoiler alert, the breakaway, or whatever you would call it, didn't really work out. There was a lot of unorganized riders, and no one really too keen to make anything of it. So the peloton catches back up to us again, and we're here left to reassess and try to figure out what to do next. So we're starting to get to the final stages of the race, as we're 9 laps out of 13. We've done 28, almost 29 Ks, and one rider shoots off the front, and I look in front of me, and that guy looks like he's in a world of pain. So I think, why not have a little bit of a crack here and try to join old mate up here and see if we can once again establish. My legs were still feeling okay at this stage. So I tell him I'm coming alongside, see if he wants to jump on and see if we can get something to happen. As again, this is the downwind part, or the downhill part of the course, so you can get a little bit of recovery here. I'm working quite hard. Heart rate's at 182, and fortunate enough now we've got 2 guys to join us, so this could be something. It's the later part of the race, so if people are tired, it's just depending on how much these guys want to work and how tired the peloton is, and if they want to chase anything. So at the moment I'm feeling pretty positive about this, but you can see the guy behind me, he's really struggling to stay on. He must be at his limit, but everyone is, do you know what I mean? So we want to make sure to get away, so it's time to really dedicate some energy into this as we ramp up the watts again and see if this thing stays away. So unfortunately, that little breakaway got caught. We got chased down. As you can see, D grade on the left, or it could be C grade on the left-hand side. So I only got 3 laps left, so if you're going to try a last-ditch attack, you better get stuck in now, because there's no better time than the present. I've paid my entrance fee. I want to make the most of it. So on my favourite part of the course, on that little downwind bit, whilst the speed is, well, it's still 40 Ks. I swing out to the right-hand side, drop some watts while everyone sits up and give it my last crack. Now, obviously, I'm mindful that I don't want to throw everything into this, because if all else fails, I still got to be relatively fresh for the sprint, but I know this is going to be my last sort of attack of the day, so I give it a little bit. Obviously, the legs are pretty fatigued after a few attacks already, but I look behind me and I notice there's someone about to join on, and maybe we can make something of this. We'll see. So I'm relatively fortunate that it's my old friend in number 14 has joined me and bridged across to join me in the break. And we've been in a breakaway already a few times this race and a couple of times in previous races. So I know he's got the legs. I know he's got the right attitude. So I'm staying optimistic, but obviously mindful that I don't want to, throw everything into this, trying to stay fresh for the sprint. Look behind me, we've got a little bit of a gap, and all we can do now is just keep riding good tempo and see how it goes. Once again, we eventually got caught, so I call the quits, and now it's all about conserving that energy for that last lap and trying to find some good positioning so we can contest the sprint. So let's skip ahead to that, and we'll see how the last parts of the race shape up. All right, it's the last lap, and I'm sitting currently at the front of the bike race, and it's starting to heat up. Everyone is pretty edgy and pretty twitchy because they all want to be in contention for that final sprint. So a lot of things happen especially in the last corner, so we're going to wait till we get to that. But in the meantime, just a quick comment: the guy sitting on my wheel here is currently on a bit of a crit tour, so I'm sure you're going to be seeing him at a few of the local races in Melbourne, so a bit of a shout out to him. But as you can just see there, Menzies swung out to the right and he's now trying to slot in behind Mr. Crit Tour. So hopefully just be there for a bit of support on the lead out. Like I spoke about at the start of the video, we had not really much of a game plan. We just kind of were out here to have a bit of fun. But as teammates are, they are always there to provide a lending hand, and you're always there to accept it. So Menzies right now at the front of the race, just setting tempo. Obviously you'd like that to be high, but he's been attacking and surging the whole race, so I'm assuming he is fairly cooked. So right now, just looking to conserve that energy. The pace, look, at 40 Ks an hour, you would think that's quite high, but you can see everyone's full of energy still as the group is bunched up. I'm currently finding myself having to cop a little bit of wind. So as we round this corner here, coming into the fast back straight, where we have the tailwind, sitting this far forward is slightly dangerous because you're not really able to respond to any big attacks if they come through at speed. You kind of almost want to be a few more wheels back with an exit plan anyway, where you can snap onto a wheel if a rider is surging to the front. So the pace picks up, and I find myself having just to surf and jump onto wheels, trying to sit out of the wind as much as possible. You can see Chiggers on my rear wheel there, just trying to keep out of the wind, and again trying to help me out and try to find a bit of support there. As we crest this hill, the pace is naturally going to drop. Everyone's done some big efforts, kicking up to 400-500 watts as you crest this hill, and everyone's legs are full of lactic, so the pace naturally drops off here. Now, the issue is when that happens, the entire group swarms around you, and all of a sudden, with effectively just over 1 kilometer before the finish, I am absolutely boxed in. I have zero exit strategy, and I'm in a world of pain here because I'm almost right at the back of the race. So if I'm going to be anywhere near contesting this sprint, I'm going to need to find a way out of here. So I'm in the midst of speaking to Chiggers on my right here, and I'm asking him to get me out, try to get me to the front of the bike race. He's obviously trying to find his way as he jumps up onto the ripple strips. He's trying to find a way to the front. So this comes down to the bottom corner here. There is one rider you can see off the front there, but not too far away. We rip around this corner at 45 kilometers an hour, and it's a little bit of a headwind, but mind you, there is a downhill part of this course. So I'm going to have to burn a match here as I move my way up closer to the front of the race, so I can at least enter these last two corners in a higher position of what I was previous. These two corners can be a little bit sketchy. You don't really want to be pedaling, especially when there's riders on the inside and the out of you. We round these corners, and I know I've got Chiggers on my right here, but keep an eye on this guy on my rear camera, because he's the guy that ultimately ends up winning this bike race. I effectively lead him out. He swings out to the far left side of the race, surfing wheels, but his kick is immense. I can't really do too much. I try to surf wheels and throw at the line, but there is no chance we're going to be able to catch this guy. He's an absolute beast, and he deserves first. I'm fortunate enough to get second. It was a fantastic race. A lot of things went wrong. A lot of things, also went right, but there's obviously definitely some room for improvement in positioning on that last lap. But look, thank you again for listening, for watching. Please like and subscribe, and check out my other videos as well. I really appreciate all the comments and everything like that. So hopefully see you next week, and we'll speak soon. Cheers.